ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Drian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. You're with Grace. At ASEAN Dailies, we deliver news from Southeast Asia. Well, let's start with the local news, where we focus more on the political side of ASEAN. First, starting with AirAsia plane, the crash caused by faulty component that happened quite a while ago, that killed about 162 people on board. So the AirAsia 8320 crashed into the Java Sea last year. So it was plunged into the ocean in stormy weather. It was around December last year, during what was supposed to be the routine flight from the Indonesian city of Surabaya to Singapore. So this crash of the Airbus triggered a huge international search with ships, also aircraft from several nations involved in this lengthy hunt that was hampered by strong current and bad weather. So there are about 52 bodies which has never been found so far. But the final report into the accident released, which was just this week, Indonesia's official National Transportation Safety Committee mentioned the poor maintenance and the fault with the system that helps control the rudder's movement was a major contributing factor to this crash. And this subsequent flight crew action resulted in inability to control the aircraft. So the plane went into the prolonged stall condition that was beyond the capability of the crew to recover. So investigators, they are saying that there was a miscommunication between the pilot and the plane plunged towards the sea. And so with the men at one point pushing their control sticks in opposite direction. So it also says that quite an inefficiency when it comes to handling those equipment and those gears. So apparently up to the time of crash, Airbus was indicating that the training manual that it was not necessary for pilots to be trained in the recovery of aircraft in the upset condition, which is when the plane loses control and is in a dangerous position. So it is very responsible. They have to feel the responsibility to be able to carry out the proper task as a crew and also as a pilot. This is, you're carrying the hundreds of people's lives on the plane. Of course, the crash was the first major setback for Malaysia based AirAsia, which has enjoyed a spectacular about 13-year run of this success. And the group of the flamboyant boss, Tony Fernandez, thanked the transport committee for their work. But these are just scars, and they're left on him. But he also mentioned that he remained committed to make the AirAsia the very best. So now that after all this investigation, now the fact has revealed, so it's more for the AirAsia, the company, to come up and to put more effort in it. Well, next is about the Thailand, New York. They censored in Thailand. And it is the second time already in the last 10 weeks that paper has said that the local printer declined to run an article in a country where the media freedom have been increasingly curtailed since last year's military takeover. So it is also touched briefly on the succession concerns surrounding 87-year-old King Bhumibol, the world's longest serving monarchy, who was served but ailing. So it's the printing. The paper's Thai printer did not comment on why it pulled the piece. When conducted by AFP, the article was still accessible online in Thailand. So on the 22nd of September, the printing did not publish the entire newspaper because this Asia edition featured a detailed front-page article on the health of King Bhumibol, huge and controversial topic actually in that country. So this monarchy is shielded by one of the world's toughest least laws and persecution that have increased dramatically since the military took over last year in a coup. So when it comes to the freedom of media in Thailand, media have to routinely self-censor when reporting on the monarchy for the fear of fall out of this broadly worded law, which carries up to about 15 years in jail for each count of insulting the king, queen, heir, or regent even. So this September article exploded the anxiety inside Thailand over Bhumibol's chosen successor, Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn, who does not enjoy his father's widespread popularity apparently. But however, this Tuesday's piece primarily centered on the starting economy. And Thailand has one of the lowest growth rate in Southeast Asia, and the junta's vowed to invigorated the economy has shown little just the progress in the country, blighted by the high household debt, low consumer confidence, and also disappointing exports. So it is still available in 6 other Southeast Asian nations: Singapore, Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Myanmar. So you can check it out and see what exactly happened. So the next news is about Malaysia, where Malaysia calls for the stronger Philippines cooperation when it comes to Philippines to neutralize these terror threats. When it comes to terrorism, the whole world is on alert, and many nations have been practicing also strengthening their security, political security as well. So they have called for the stronger cooperation with Philippines. This followed intelligence report that ISIS militant was trying to unite militants in the region, and also including Abu Sayyaf, the terror group in the Philippines, to form IS movement in Southeast Asia. So these Philippine authorities arrested 2 members of the Abu Sayyaf group said to be responsible for the kidnapping of 2 Malaysians from a seafood restaurant in the state of Sabah, and was beheading one of the victims. Now the Malaysia police chief Khalid Abu Bakar wants these 2 militants extradited to face trial in the country. So the killing was very gruesome, and it has grieved the nation and strengthened the government's resolve to fight this terrorism, which is very important. And of course, the country is conducting a massive manhunt for these 3 wanted Malaysian militant suspects, and is said to be working hand in glove with Abu Sayyaf. So all 3 have been on Malaysian wanted list since April last year. So, about earlier this month, of course, Malaysia, the police mentioned that it received unconfirmed reports of meetings that took place in Sulu in southern Philippines between Islamic State militants and the members of Abu Sayyaf. So this Abu Sayyaf group is very well known for its kidnapping for ransom activities. Some are believed to be members of secret society known as Knights of Right Keepers that once swore allegiance to the Sulu Sultanate. So there are so many activities coming from ISIS that have been happening for the past few years. And of course, Malaysia and the Philippines, not only this country, but the whole Southeast Asia nations, these two really focus and also moving in this fight process where they can strengthen the security as well as the terrorist act. For the next news, before we close on the political side of Southeast Asia, which is about the Mekong Dam, which has been going on for some time already. So these agencies broke these laws over this Mekong Dam, and of course, the judge opinion was the case against the dam is to be dismissed, and as the 5 state agencies in question had not violated any laws, but they had fully complied with the required procedures. So in the courtroom yesterday to hear the suggestions were more than 20 plaintiffs from the 8 Mekong provinces who claim they could be affected by dam project along the river. And of course, defendants were represented by just a few officials, and among them there were the National Energy Policy Council, the Cabinet and Electricity Generating Authorities of Thailand as well. So the court had examined the agreement details and found it that it required a social and health impact assessment, and the project owner had already passed these procedures when he proposed the project to the Laos government. The also court said the agency were not required to conduct assessment of the transboundary environment and health impact. This Mekong River project has been going on, and of course there are a lot of disagreement between the public and also the authorities and also organization. So according to the reports, the Supreme Administrative Court they accepted the lawsuit against the 5 defendants on June 2014 after this administrative court denied that it had a jurisdiction to hear the case in February 2013. So one of the dam, Sayaburi Dam, is the first dam to be built on the lower Mekong mainstream, and the construction of this dam is spearheaded by the Ke Kachang, the Thai construction company, and it is also funded by 6 Thai banks. The project began about 5 years ago and is now 70% complete. So of course, God will buy the 95% of this generated power. Well, that's it for our political side of Southeast Asia. Stay tuned for the economic side of our ASEAN news. We'll come back after this short break.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Drian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. You're with Grace at ASEAN Dailies, where we deliver news from Southeast Asia. So the second segment, we are focusing on the economic side. Apparently, let's come back to our nation, Malaysia. The nation wants to become a hub to promote Italian products for ASEAN market and is looking to scale up the bilateral business with Italy, and also is the birthplace of Leonardo da Vinci. So, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said it was Malaysia's intention to forge further partnership with the country to venturing into offset business agreement. So, Zahid also mentioned that Malaysia was looking at increasing trade in the areas of security, communication, agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism, and of course as well as attract more investments from Italy. So the whole nation wants to be Italy's trade partner. But right now, according to Zahid, he said we are just the end of user of Italy's products. And he mentioned several times about this, and at the moment Malaysia has technology transfer agreement in the defense sector with Italy, and as such he instructed the relevant agencies, particularly the Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation (MATRADE), to liaise with this Italian agency to increase the effort in trade. So this 6 months Malaysian pavilion had attracted about 3.07 million patrons, which showcased their capabilities in various sectors. So Zaidi has pretty big ambition and also high passion when it comes to trading with Italy. And as of August this year, the trade value between both countries stood about 5.5 billion ringgit, and with Malaysia exports to Italy at 466.3 million euro and exports at 692 million euro. So up to September this year, Italian investment in Malaysia was worth about 487 million euro that had created about 4,543 employment opportunities in this country. So it also received about 27,000 and also 227 Italian tourists until July this year. The figure is expected to increase about to 45,000 by the end of this year as well. And moving on to the next news about TPP and also AEC as an economic community, seek increase in the growth in farming exports. And this is coming all the way from Vietnam. So exports of a Vietnamese agriculture, forestry, and the fishery products will be aided by the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement and also enactment of the AEC as an economic community. So according to the experts, they said, speaking at a seminar on the impact of the free trade agreements on Vietnamese agriculture sector, this TPP can bring advantages in abolishing some important tariff barriers for agriculture, forestry, and fishery products. And even further, the agreement would expand exports by applying the sanitary and then phytosanitary measures for trading local farming, forestry, and seafood product as well. And also the trade barriers are also to be eliminated when TPP allows the certification and self-electronic certification as well. So if the companies are found to commit these violations, they will be barred from this furthering trading. So therefore, these enterprises must build trust in business community and also to improve their quality standard and brands. So for trade of farming, particularly this products between Vietnam and ASEAN countries. It is also very important that the Vietnam has had trade surpluses in the farming exports with ASEAN countries, and many key export farming products have been shipping to ASEAN member countries. In fact, including of course rice, seafood, rubber, coffee, vegetable, fruits, wood, and also wooden products as well. Of course, cashews as well. So hope that Vietnam can look brighter and also to be able to build a standard system meeting requirements from member countries of TPP, AEC, and of course other free trade agreement to reduce the poor quality imports. So that's it for the news on the economic side of Southeast Asia. But stay tuned, we still have the one more segment for our ASEAN dailies.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to 3 ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. You're with Grace at the ASEAN Dailies. Well, let's go for the last segment of ASEAN Dailies, which we focus on the social culture. And guess what happened to Malaysia when it comes to alcohol consumption? This nation plans to raise the minimum age for alcohol consumption from 18 to 21. And it did not say when the change would take place, but of course it was mentioned was part of the strategy aiming to prevent underage drinking and also limit accessibility of alcohol to high-risk groups. And of course, Malaysia also plans to have additional labeling requirements for alcohol products to warn about their effect on health. So this filing to the WTO invites other members of global trading body to comment on its plans with the next 60 days. And Malaysia is predominantly Muslim country, but also home to Carlsberg Brewery Malaysia brand, well, which reported about 11% increase in the quarterly profit, and of course Guinness as well. Alcohol is pretty widely available and are consumed by these an estimated about 3.5 million of nearly 30 million populations. And the country already has one of the Asia's highest excise taxes on alcohol, but the consumption of alcohol has been relatively steady. And if you talk about neighboring countries like Indonesia, which has the world's largest Muslim population, lawmakers have proposed this ban legislation to ban all this consumption of alcohol drinks, and also hand jail terms of up to 2 years to offenders as well. It also introduced a steep increase in imported tariff on wine and spirit. Just for the information, last year Malaysia exported spirit worth about $269 million, mainly to Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, and beer worth about $156 million, mainly to Singapore and Thailand. So the last news of today, which is about the opening ceremony of ASEAN Para Games. So there was an opening ceremony, and as you can see that from Southeast Asia Games, they're very proud to be different from other nations, and there will be a lot of performances and also of course teams to participate. So it is a very a highlight game, and Singapore will host these regional para games for the first time, which will be held from Thursday to December 9th, and it will feature around 3,000 athletes and officials involved in the 15 sports. And for the first time, the opening ceremony will not only be broadcasted live on television, but also streamed online via games on YouTube channel, of course. So this is a very a positive sports game in ASEAN community. So hope that we can all watch and support our nation as ASEAN community as a whole. So this is the end of the ASEAN Dailies for today, Wednesday morning. Do look for us on our website, DurianASEAN.com. We also have social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So stay tuned for the next interview on at ASEAN, the Durian Heat. So stay tuned.